welcome back to the DigiGods podcast on the week of Labor Day in the United States. We cannot keep Mark on this show. Tim, thank you for sitting in again.
Yeah. What did he do to himself? Did he hurt himself?
He's sick. He is sick and unable to speak. Mark does not take days off from work, and Mark missed almost an entire week of work because he has no voice.
If Mark missed work, then he is in fact sick.
Yes,
not just love sick.
That is true. So between his vacation and his rekindled romance and everything else that has taken him out of the loop lately, he is on top of everything else sick. So on his behalf, we apologize. We're going to give him about a week or so to try and get his constitution back to where it needs to be. And in the meanwhile, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Summer season officially over now with Labor Day.
Yes, literally today, watching U.S. Open. I actually have the U.S. Open on in the background right now. I'm that much of an addict for tennis.
Yeah, Tim knows tennis better than he knows movies, and that's saying something. That is really saying something. But people often don't realize Labor Day is the worst movie-going weekend of the year. Yeah. It is the worst. That's why all the junk always gets released on Labor Day weekend, because that's the only time they can get screens. Everything else evacuates movie screens, and Labor Day is the dumping ground of the year. Even though January and is typically
that
considered
January-February period can be pretty rough too. We've got a few holdover horror films. This Labor Day, sort of hanging around a little bit. Suicide Squad is still hanging around,
and Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe, and a few of them hanging around.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna give you hopefully something to pay attention to on Blu-ray and DVD. And Tim, we got some music. Mark usually hits the music for us, so I'll let you give us the music titles of the week.
Well, good. Yeah, I'm glad you let me do these. The first one, "Whatever Happened, Miss Simone." This, of course, was the Liz Garbus documentary that came out last year. This is the CD Blu-ray set out now. First of all, the film itself, "Whatever Happened, Miss Simone," absolutely extraordinary, sort of astounding documentary that dives into the life of
it's such
Nina
an amazing life, and a movie that really does justice to it.
Yeah, a complicated person in many ways, and the movie does try to speak to all of that. The CD that comes with this includes all of your, "I Loves You, Porgy," and "I Put a Spell on You," and "Mississippi Goddamn," and all of that. So this is an important piece. I had not realized how many awards both the film and some of this music the film was nominated for. Germany, the Golden Bear, obviously an Oscar nomination, Sundance, just everything from last year. So this was a really, really good film. Are we going to talk about the other movie at all?
They wouldn't send it. They're not sending it to press. The dramatized television version that featured what many people think was a fatal piece of miscasting.
Well, look, loves me some Zoe.
Yeah.
Zoe cannot play Nina Simone.
Yeah.
And what's most interesting, if you get this movie and this music, watch this documentary, What Happened, Miss Simone, and listen to this music, and you'll know why Zoe Saldana can't play Nina Simone.
Yeah.
If all those people who made that movie had watched this movie and listened to this music, they'd have been like, "Oh, honey, sorry. Yeah. we should have been paying attention. You can't play Nina Simone." Yeah. The Everly Brothers, "Harmonies from Heaven," another Blu-ray documentary, which celebrates the period covering from the 1950s to the beginning of the 60s, when the Everly Brothers were just an absolute phenomenon.
They were.
Those melodies, those choruses, those harmonies that they did. The thing about the Everly Brothers in the black community, I'll let you all in on a secret maybe y'all didn't know. In the black community, for years, we thought the Everly Brothers were black.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, in like the middle 70s, when I'm looking, I'm like, what?
That's fascinating.
That's a white dude doing that? Yeah. So, the DVD for the Everly Brothers. I've got some additional interviews on this with some interesting people, and several different concerts here, live at Checkers Nightclub in Sydney, and all of the songs that you know and love from the Everly Brothers right there. Then we have Journey, live in Manila. Now, this is an interesting 2 CD and Blu-ray of a concert from Manila, which is a bit of a homecoming concert for the band's current lead singer. Took the place of Steve Perry some years ago.
The guy who sounds like Steve Perry because he won like a Steve Perry sound-alike contest.
Arnell, exactly. He sounds like Steve Perry, which is like no small feat in and of itself. And I'll admit right now, I was a gigantic fan of this band in the early '80s when they were doing their thing. And this includes 2 CDs featuring pretty much every song that Journey ever made. He even looks a little like Steve Perry. He has that long stringy hair. I don't know. Some people are just born to the job that they get, right?
I always felt like when I was a teenager, I always felt like we flirted just a little bit with greatness because one of my best friends from who I'm still very close friends with from when I was a teenager, his dad was Journey's tax accountant. And so we always felt like, wow, that's so cool. I don't know how that's not even close to name dropping. That's almost one step removed from knowing somebody who got a front row seat at a concert. It's
front row seat at a concert, indeed. All right. Anyway, Styx. Styx live at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. Is what this Blu-ray. This is just a Blu-ray, not a Blu-ray CD. You have a concert filmed at that arena during their summer tour in 2014. Okay, so Styx, I will admit again.
I just love Styx.
Not only am I a Styx fan, in my extremely young years, when I was roaming around in all kinds of really terrible bands, we used to cover the hell out of Styx.
You just don't get stuff like Mr. Roboto anymore.
Nah.
You don't.
Nah, we covered that.
You don't.
It was fantastic. These guys are all looking pretty good too. So, live at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, Styx. All right, little music wrap up.
Well, Mark is going to be happy. He's missing the Kid Vid. I'm going to rock some Kid Vid for you right now. We have a couple of Blu-rays, first-time Blu-rays from Paramount and CBS. This is a big deal. If you are a Charlie Brown fan, if you are a Peanuts fan, you know that a lot of the holiday specials have been on Blu-ray. The Great Pumpkin and Christmas special and so forth, Thanksgiving special. Those have been on Blu-ray for a while. What has not been on Blu-ray are these 2 fabulous classic Peanuts movies. I'm talking about A Boy Named Charlie Brown and Snoopy Come Home. This is honestly, as much as I love the holiday specials, they feel a little bit stretched out. You don't really get the punch that Charles Schultz created in the whole Peanuts world, because there are a lot of life lessons there, and we often kind of look past it and we love the characters and we love the things they do, and we miss the recurring themes of life. Lucy always pulling away the football, Charlie Brown never learning that lesson, the doctor is in, the fact that the only person who is well adjusted in this entire world is the dog.
Yeah.
There are so many great life lessons in all of this that really you can't sort of explore them to the degree that he did in the comic strip running on for years and years in the shorts, in the holiday specials. You have to go to these movies, and this is where the rubber really meets the road. These are absolutely terrific. Feature-length films, both of them. Boy Named Charlie Brown, Snoopy Come Home. Snoopy Come Home still almost brings me to tears. I got to be honest. It's amazing. It's so well done. One of the things that
was always fascinating, though, about the panels is that he could tell a story that had as much depth and meaning and resonance in a single panel, maybe 3, maybe 4. Yep. But, sometimes one panel.
Yeah.
These movies would take how long is that?
These are both about 80, a little over 80 minutes,
80 minute movies.
Yeah.
It was an extraordinary thing that they both achieved the same thing. Very powerful down the line.
They do.
But he could do it with a single panel.
Yeah.
If you've never seen the panel that he drew to address race.
Yeah.
When he introduced Franklin.
Yeah.
Into the comic strip.
Yeah, which was a pretty daring thing at that time.
At the time, and there's a wonderful story around it. It has to do with a letter that he received from a fan of the comic strip who discussed it with him, and they wrote back and forth, and he was resonant about doing it, reluctant to do it, and then he did it, and he did it in a single panel. Go out and find that. I'll leave you guys to do that one on your own.
Well, the Blu-rays are beautiful. They completely capture the genius of the artwork and the animation from the time. Boy Named Charlie Brown has some, really psychedelic dream sequence stuff in it, very much of the 60s, because it was made in 1969. 3 years later, Snoopy Come Home, they did an amazing thing by bringing on Richard and Robert Sherman, the Disney songwriting brothers. behind Mary Poppins and just about every other great Disney tune of the era. So it's really great stuff. Both of these, highly recommended. If you're a Peanuts fan, if you're a great animation fan, you're just going to love those. We've also got Batman, The Killing Joke from Warner Brothers in a limited edition and numbered gift set. This is a Blu-ray, DVD, and digital HD ultraviolet combo set, based on a graphic novel that I have not read, although I hear The Killing Joke is a bit of a big deal as a graphic novel. In any case, this is really good. It's solid animation. It's really well written. The people who do this, the whole animated DC Universe stuff over at Warner Brothers, really do a great job. I just wish they'd let them take a crack at some of the features because they have a much better grasp on this stuff. And this one comes with a little Joker figurine. No, not the Jared Leto Joker who's all tatted up and millennial. No, this is your good old fashioned classic Joker with the pointy nose and the pointy chin and the purple suit. Yeah, which is how I like him.
Looking for all the world like Cesar Romero.
Yeah, totally. I watch at least one or two episodes of the old Batman series every week, just fixing food or doing something else because I've got the whole ultraviolet thing, so I'll just on the iPad pop it on while I'm doing something else. It's just amazing how entertaining those things are.
Absolutely.
They play it so straight and it's so funny. Also from DC's Superhero Girls, Hero of the Year. This is an original movie. We're all female empowered here with Wonder Woman and Supergirl and Batgirl and Harley Quinn, and they load it up. It's all girl power, and it's okay. It's on the lighter side of the DC animation stuff. This is clearly meant for it's to skew younger. And the two here who kind of round things out are Bumblebee and Katana, which
Katana, who shows up in the Suicide Squad movie.
Oh, does she?
Yes, she's in there.
All right, did not realize that. Well, Bumblebee and Katana, not Poison Ivy is here too. So it's a little weird that Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn and wind up being part of the team. But anyway. So be it. It's okay. So that's little superhero girl power. We also have R.L. Stine live action. R.L. Stine's Mostly Ghostly series. This is a new movie, One Night in Doom House. It's pretty tweenager stuff. It's not really great, but it's fine for TV. And it's got Danny Trejo in it for whatever that's worth. That guy he's in everything. And he has like a vegan taco franchise now. You know about this?
Oh, yeah, I have seen that. They're very nice. Was Pat Profitt one of the writers? He wrote some of those, Pat Profitt. And, he goes back to the Police Academy movies and all that stuff. Yeah. But he would adapt some of those R.L. Steins every now and again. Yeah, and those were always pretty good. Yes, I watched the R.L. Stein. Not that one. Okay.
Not this one. But anyway, that's from R.L. Stein's Mostly Ghostly, One Night in Doom House. Not really scary. It's just good for, teenagers. Star Wars Rebels, complete season 2. This is, I don't know how I have had Star Wars fans tell me that there are continuity issues in the universe with this. Now, not being as passionate a Star Wars fan as some people, I couldn't tell you. If it were Star Trek, I could tell you every single way that the world of Voyager betrays what they did in the original series. I could tell you all the disconnect and where stars are in the wrong places, and I don't have a problem with that. But apparently, a lot of Star Wars fans have problems with the Star Wars Rebels series because it reinvents a lot of things and deviates. I don't really understand, but anyway. It's CGI animation. It's okay. I guess it's fine. I'm not loyal to this world, so I can't really tell you. But it's certainly well done. I can tell you that much. It is very, very well done for what it is, regardless of whether or not it has any substantial continuity. This is on Blu-ray. Has quite a bit of bonus features, the featurette stuff, looking back on the way the first season ended, how they're sort of trying to maintain the references within this world to everything else, even if they don't quite make sense. And it's behind the scenes stuff. It's good. Then we got some Power Rangers.
Oh, Power Rangers.
Power Rangers, which never goes away.
Which era? What era?
No idea.
Yeah.
I have no clue anymore. At a certain point, I just kind of gave up on trying to keep track of what was what. And if you add in all the Japanese series, it's even harder to keep track of.
Yeah, man.
This is the complete season of Power Rangers Megaforce. You'll notice that's not the complete season 1 or the complete season 2. It's just the complete season. Because there was only one season. That's why. That's 5 DVDs in a single set. And then there is the complete season of Power Rangers Super Megaforce. You'll also notice that is one season. So Megaforce and Super Megaforce were one season apiece. I think it may have to do with the fact, Tim, if you notice the way the costumes are, these costumes look an awful lot like what Michael Jackson was wearing in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that may have something to do with it.
Little military, jackets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Power Rangers I go back to are the early 90s Power Rangers, right?
Where they owned the spandex.
They owned the spandex. And,
Just
you
own
did
it.
the Pink Ranger. You knew you had your Rangers. You knew who they were. I think I did the junket for the first Power Rangers feature film. I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Well, anyway, lots of Power Rangers action here. It's pretty much the same thing as in all the others, so you're not getting anything really new. This comes with Ultraviolet on both of them, 5 DVDs apiece. Lots of Megaforce action there. Shimmer and Shine. Welcome to Zarame Falls. Shimmer and Shine is, of course, a Nickelodeon show, kind of in the same style as Bubble Guppies, only it's about Shimmer and Shine, who are a couple of cute little genies.
Big eyes, big
heads, a lot of magic. The show's kind of growing on me. Oddly enough, it grows on me more than it grows on my daughter, who should be enjoying a show about big-headed, big-eyed little genies because she's got a big head and she's got big eyes and she likes magic. But she's into things more like what I'm going to talk about next. So I like Shimmer and Shine a little bit more, but I think that goes to my fetish for I Dream of Jeannie. I'm looking at them as having some kind of kinship with Barbara Eden.
Yeah, there it is.
So, no, this is actually a pretty cute show, and it's really kind of coming into its own. And you got 3 little adventures on here. Welcome to Zarame Falls, First Wish, and Happy Wish Anniversary. It is it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. My daughter still won't watch episodes of I Dream of Jeannie with me. Peppa Pig, Sunny Vacation, including a 4-part special. This is great. My daughter still likes Peppa Pig very much, even though she's graduated primarily to Ben and Holly and Sarah and Duck, neither of which is on DVD. So our DVD experience has to continue to be Peppa Pig. But Peppa Pig Sunny Vacation includes the 4-part special plus 8 regular episodes. So you get 12 episodes in total. The 4-part special adventure is a holiday vacation, which is wonderful. It's flying on holiday, holiday house, holiday in the sun, end of the holiday. And then you get other episodes like Potato City and Grampy Rabbit's Dinosaur Park. And if you're a fan of the show, you know all about it. There's also the aquarium on here, which is where we are going this afternoon.
Yes.
Long Beach Aquarium. Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, as seen on Nickelodeon and Nicktoons. You know what? This is more female superhero stuff, and even though this is not of the DC world or the Marvel world, this is from the Shout Kids world and the Zag animation. It's fine. I like the fact that these 2 extremely fetching young female superheroes are from Paris. So, that's let's rock with that. I love the fact that Paris gets superhero heroines, and I'm all okay in that. I'm all okay about that. So that's Ladybug and Cat Noir. Kind of, they're a little bit like...
So in English, in French, it's subtitled, or they
English.
They're speaking English and they just live in Paris?
This is all in, it's all in English.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Why
not?
They're expats.
There you go. It's fabulous. And then we also get from PBS the Super Y series, which is for very young children. My daughter has long outgrown this, which is kind of sad to me. This is the Super Y it teaches you about words and letters and spelling. It's very rudimentary. Basically, reading exercises through these kids who become superheroes. And this is Goldilocks and 3 Bears. Is the superhero associated lesson there. Also from PBS Kids, The Wild Kratts, which we've never gotten into. Wild Reptiles. It's very, unusually animated show. Not really my speed. The incredibly shameless Adventures of Panda Warrior, which is from Lionsgate. This is a fairly shameless knockoff of Kung Fu Panda. I shouldn't even say fairly shameless. It's just straight up shameless. And you got to wonder about the people who just agree to have their voices in this. Rob Schneider and Norm Macdonald will pretty much do anything if there's a paycheck attached. Haley Duff will do anything because she's Hilary Duff's sister, and Hilary's having a hard enough time keeping her career going. So I'll cut them some slack. Blu-ray, DVD, and Ultraviolet, Scooby-Doo, and The Curse of the Speed Demon, original movie. There's this whole new class of Scooby-Doo movies now that they're making through this alliance that Warner has with WWE. It's a little weird that Scooby-Doo has become an iconic cartoon for the wrestling set. I just don't quite understand why they're doing that.
You know what I completely missed when that happened?
Yeah, it's a whole monster truck thing and wrestlers making cartoon cameos here. You do remember when Scooby-Doo had other celebrity cameos?
Well, sure, yeah.
Like Harlem Globetrotters and Laurel and Hardy and Three Stooges. Yeah, that was weird. It's a very strange phenomenon of the 1970s and 80s. Kate and Mim Mim, Balloon Buddies. This is another show. This is 3 episodes of this very, very rudimentary show. Mim Mim is a big, creepy purple rabbit. It's a very strange world. It's kind of Teletubby-ish. I don't get it. My daughter's not really into it. Somebody must be. They keep on going. Also from PBS Kids, Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. In this one, Daniel Goes Camping. Very sweet shows. Good lessons. Very, very moderate. This is from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Fred Rogers Company. So there's definitely a Sesame Street Mr. Rogers vibe going on here, and that's fine. And then Caillou's Pet Parade. Caillou is of course, the bald kid from Canada who creeps everybody out, but yet they consider these Canadian animated episodes on PBS to be very educational and helpful to kids. I don't really understand why, but my daughter watches them, and she is absolutely magnetized by Caillou, perhaps wondering why he continues to be bald. And lastly, from Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol's Sports Day. Paw Patrol, of course, a lot of cute little dogs, and they do fun things, and they talk and whatever. They play soccer and basketball. It's very unusual. Not really my speed. Don't get it. Someone must. And that is it. So, Tim, let's move on to some. We got classic movies, some rather amazing classic movie releases. We got new movies, some really great stuff, and then we've got some British TV and an interview, by the way.
And an interview coming up. Who's the interview with again?
The interview is with Kyle Rankin, who is a good friend of mine and who directed a really terrific film, a zombie comedy. Night of the Living Dead, which we're going to talk about on Blu-ray momentarily. So we're going to hear some from Kyle Rankin later in the show, talking about making a super low-budget, crowd-funded, kick-started feature film.
In the genre.
In the genre.
I got to tell you, comedy. It's a smart thing to do. Mm-hmm. And for young filmmakers, I got to tell you, be bright.
Yes.
Make a genre film.
Yeah.
Make a genre film. You can always sell a genre film because genre films always have categories in which they live. You can go to Fangoria, you can do all that. Make a genre film if you want to make your bones. If you don't mind, I'm going to start on some of these British
TV.
Yeah, because I haven't watched a whole bunch of these. So I got Inspector Lewis Series 8 over here, widely expected to be the final in the Inspector Lewis. You know why I love this? It's set in Oxford. In England, it's just also very successful. Plus, I went there, so it's one of those kind of things. Anyway, I like this series quite a lot. Among the many sort of fairly contemporary British detective series, this one's not so gory. It's not about bodies being pulled out of the muck that they show you. This is more close to a sort of gritty Sherlock Holmesian kind of thing, but they're sort of working the inside. This is Series 8 of the Inspector Lewis series here. And then we have Foyle's War Revisited.
So love Foyle's War.
Love that British detective. It's just so fantastic. Foyle's War is one of the few that I can watch over and over and over again. This one is hosted by John Mahoney, of course. Played Fraser's dad on television for all those years. So let's see, what do we have here? A bonus interview with John Mahoney after the show. The 57 minutes long in widescreen, and a little documentary on it too. Foyle's War. Revisited. That's from Acorn, I believe.
Yep.
Being Poirot. 25 years, after 25 years, David Chusset investigates the appeal of Agatha Christie's Poirot. And in fact, there's a great deal of appeal here, too.
He's kind of the quintessential Poirot. I mean,
he really is.
I take nothing away from Peter Ustinov, who did it in the movies, and anyone else who has played the part. And I guess Kenneth Branagh is going to be playing the part himself in the new Orient Express that he's doing, right? But
which should be fairly fascinating. He's directing, right?
I think he is, yeah.
Stanley Tucci is hosting this one. This is an interesting series as well. Again, love the Hercule Poirot series and David Suchet in particular. Canadian series. A series, 19-2. This is about these two Canadian cops. I've only seen one episode of this. It's about these two Canadian cops, of one black, one white. They don't particularly get along, but they go out there and they run the streets. And
mismatched buddy.
Mismatched buddy movie. Can't go wrong. Straight up character driven drama. Very, very good stuff. 10 episodes on 3 discs here. I don't know. Sounds interesting to me. I'm gonna have to check out some more of that.
Yeah.
19-2, season 2.
And we also have Line of Duty Series 3, which is also from Acorn. This is a terrific, tough kind of the equivalent of SWAT in the UK. This is about the AC-12 team, and a lot of really interesting politics about the way that these police units operate in the UK. Really, really good casting. Very, very well done. Very intense. This is really, 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 really top-notch stuff. And there's a terrific behind-the-scenes featurette on this. Otherwise, it's 6 episodes on 3 discs. Really, really intense. Good casting. Clean Break. Also from Acorn. This is really quite an intriguing kind of criminal thriller. That it's 4 episodes. I'm not sure if this is going to be more than 4 episodes. It seems to be very self-contained. So I don't know if this is going to turn into a more elaborate series or if they just leave this as a one-off. But if it's just a one-off, it's certainly going to be really, really great. You could almost turn this into an elaborate thriller feature film, Hollywood style, and probably do more justice to it. At about the 4 episodes run about 3.5 hours if you watch them all the way straight through, and it feels very much like they really are elongating the story, probably a little more than they should. This could almost be a Gone Girl type thing. I won't give you any of the plots ins and outs, but it's very, very it's good thriller stuff.
Does it complete itself at the end?
It does.
It's a clean run.
It's a clean run, but then again, so is Stranger Things.
Yeah.
We got a second season of that coming now.
That is irritating. Endeavor is another series that I really, really like. I like this series. It's set in the UK in the 60s. Sean Evans playing a detective named Endeavor Morse. It's super duper mod, this series, but it's not campy in any way. And they are sort of true to the period completely and totally, including the music. This is the complete 3rd season of Endeavor. It's from the Masterpiece Mystery series that runs on PBS all the time. So if you haven't watched that already, get caught up with this DVD. Blu-ray, actually.
And on DVD, speaking of period stuff and speaking of Canada, we have a great box set of seasons 5 through 8 of Murdoch Mysteries. Which is really, really great. Set in Toronto, turn of the century, just good procedural stuff. And the thing I always like about this show in particular, and obviously Canada, turn of the century is a setting and a place that we don't often
go there at all. Yeah.
So it's good. That's nice to go there. But the nice thing is that it does. It wraps in a lot of historical figures. They always do what Downton Abbey did, which is you really feel the period because Churchill plays a part, Conan Doyle will play a part, a lot of the great inventors and politicians of the era get kind of even peripherally wrapped in. And what's interesting is that because it's not present day, you don't have to worry about cell phones. You don't have to worry about DNA evidence and the internet. Yeah, none of that stuff. It's just good old-fashioned detective work. It's a lot of fun. So that is a great box set, which we'll have to bring back for our holiday gift guide coverage. That's seasons 5, 6, 7, and 8 in a fabulous box set if you're looking to catch up. All right, Tim, it's new movie time.
Oh, new movies. Well,
new movies. Let me see. I'm going to start with Tale of Tales.
Oh man, that was really What's the word for John C. Reilly?
I admire so much about this movie, but at the same time, I feel like if Del Toro had made this movie, it would have been 10 times better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just needs that Pan's Labyrinth quality. It doesn't.
It's these vignettes that cover these sort of dark and a little bit disturbing
fairy tales.
Fairy tales.
Yeah.
Sort of as they were constructed back in the day.
Yeah,
when they were originally constructed.
It's a series of fairy tales originally based on the on Italian fairy tales. Or actually a volume of Italian fairy tales, which was sort of like one of the original compilations. We don't really know who wrote a lot of fairy tales. A lot of them just were passed on through time. So this is a very strange collection of fairy tales from that original Italian volume that there's almost no way to really kind of go into it. John C. Reilly is in it for about 10 seconds. He and Salma Hayek are a king and queen who make an unusual deal in order to have a child, an heir, and then that winds up dovetailing into a whole lot of other very, very weird areas and other weird peripheral stories, and you kind of jump back and forth between them. And again, I like the film. But it just feels like something that should have been in the hands of a really major director like Del Toro, who could have really done something very interesting with it. Vincent Cassel, who I always enjoy, plays that whole bit with the two sisters. And, that's just,
with the skin and the aging and all that kind of thing.
That's just madly creepy.
There's a lot of creepy in there. She has to eat a heart. And I mean, man, that heart eating scene. I know it's not a heart, but it doesn't matter. It was just more than I needed.
In any case, the director of the film is Matteo Garrone, who is not a director of this kind of material. Mm-hmm. He did Gomorrah some years ago, which I think got an Oscar nomination, which is very naturalistic.
Yeah.
And this is not naturalistic. This is very, very artful and classic and stylized. And it's, I applaud him for really stretching, but it doesn't feel like this is, again, it should have been Del Toro. So
yeah, it was not a natural fit for me. Yeah. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows, right?
The Michael Bay thing.
So this is just so weird. So like one of the very first movies that I covered when I first got to LA, 1990, whatever the year was the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action film, right? So it was like these guys. I actually went to the set and did a set visit, and it was these guys in Ninja Turtle outfits, right, with little heads on, and then the voices were done by other actors. I think Corey Feldman or somebody did one of the voices. All of these kind of people. This movie somehow is an amalgamation of these sort of 3D generated, CGI generated Ninja Turtles in the real world in live action. I got to tell you, I didn't really care for that. I preferred the fairly little dudes wearing Ninja Turtle outfits with just the heads on and stuff, and they would jump around and dance. Sam Rockwell is in that original Ninja Turtle. Scott Wolf, Sam Rockwell. I'm telling you, look around. Yeah. One of those henchmen is working. So anyway, this came out. This one is full of all kinds. You got Megan Fox running around this thing, and Will Arnett doing one of the voices. I suppose for the contemporary young audience, this might be a lot of fun, but I don't remember it doing all that well at the box office. Here we have the Blu-ray, 3D Blu-ray, and DVD, and HD digital. All kinds of stuff on this, including deleted scenes and a couple of little documentary docs and some songs and a lot of other fun stuff. So for Teenage Mutant Turtle completists, I suppose, Out of the Shadows 3D on Blu-ray and DVD, you're going to have it.
We've got a new film here with Nicholas Hoult and Kristen Stewart called Equals. This was just in theaters from A24. This is now out on Blu-ray and digital HD ultraviolet set from Lionsgate and A24. The director of the film, the writer-director of the film, is Drake Doremus, who I am actually a really, really big fan of. Drake Doremus, I think, is a super talented director. The Like Crazy was the film that really kind of put him on the map.
Yeah.
And then, he made The Beauty Inside and Breathe In. And he makes just really interesting humanistic films that just have just a wonderful sort of ethereal quality to them. And this is kind of the same. This got a lot of. This was really ripped by a lot of critics, which I thought was unfair. I think they kind of missed the whole point of it. Equals is somewhere between Logan's Run and THX 1138. Mm-hmm. It is a dystopian future romance. It kind of hits all those beats, much more THX 1138 than Logan's Run. But it feels, it's people who are not allowed, and even 1984, you could say. But
the 84 Gattaca,
perfect example. Very antiseptic dystopian future, and two people who are trying to defy the prohibition on love. And it's not, granted, it's not deep, it's not heavy, it's not philosophical, it doesn't really, break new ground. But for what it is, it certainly belongs in the class with a lot of those other previous films. It does a better job of stylizing, and the performances are really good. I thought it was perfectly fine. I look forward to more Drake Doremus.
Urge is a Blu-ray and digital HD disc being released. It stars Pierce Brosnan, who's had an interesting post-Bondian career.
Yeah, hasn't he?
He's roamed around, did a whole lot of stuff. Actually, Pierce Brosnan before Bond had a pretty interesting career too. If you go all the way back to Remington Steele,
yep.
In I don't know what, middle '80s, maybe the early '80s or something like that.
Yep.
And a few, is he Scottish? What is he? Scottish?
Irish.
Irish. He's an Irishman.
Irish.
He made a movie called Tannen, I remember.
Oh yeah,
he dealt with the IRA and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, now he plays a lot of bad guys. In this one, he's playing this nightclub owner who introduces some folks who come by the club to a new designer drug that releases all of their inhibitions so that they can engage their urge. Is thus the title of the film, and it becomes a fairly interesting movie. Neat little thriller and a different walk for Pierce Brosnan in this one. So check it out. Urge, Blu-ray, DVD.
We got 3 regular DVDs this week. Center Stage on Pointe. I can't believe the whole Center Stage thing is still going. That original film, which Zoe Saldana was in, she's the only person that came out of that thing unscathed.
And her dancing in that movie is extraordinary.
It's great.
It's great. She was very good.
Yeah, but the rest of that movie is just dreadful.
Yeah.
I had to review that at the time, and that was really like pulling teeth. It was just agonizing. But you know what? Dancing, people love dancing movies. How many Step Up movies have there been?
Yeah, there you go.
They're all the same. Yeah. So anyway, the dancing is fine. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But the thing that is most ridiculous is the name of the director. You know who directed this?
Who directed?
Director X. Who's credited directing this? It's absolutely absurd.
But what is that? Is that an avoidance, or is that a guy who uses that silly tag?
I don't know. It used to be Alan Smithy, and now it's
Director X.
Now it's just I don't want to take a credit. We also have Fishes and Loaves Heaven Sent. This is more in the Fishes and Loaves faith-based vein. There's nothing particularly great here. You got a few names, Dominic Swain and Bruce Davison, people who don't really show up in many movies anymore. It's fine. It's like most of the faith-based films, which I don't want to criticize them unduly because I realize that there is an audience for these and there are people who like these, but they're not dramatic. They
the thing that's going on now with these movies, because I used to sort of like really get, but every now and again there will be one that actually works. Now,
once in a while,
every now and again. But see, that's the measure for me. Yeah. If one can work, then they can all work. Yeah. That means to the ones who make the filmmakers who make the ones that don't work, that walk down the path the way that one does. That means you're not trying.
Yeah.
You try harder, and you can make that movie, and then that movie will work for a broader audience. If you just decide to make the movie for the audience that it's pointed at, which is not an unusual, that's a long historical tradition in filmmaking, right, in the United States. It's not like there haven't always been movies directed toward very specific audiences. But I don't know. It seems to me if you can make one that'll work for a broader audience, do it.
I would hope. Anyway, it's basically about a guy. He's a pastor, and he gets a new assignment in Arizona, and the town's a mess. And everybody's got to he's got to help fix everybody's lives. It's it's heartwarming. Compadres with Omar Chaparro and Joey Morgan. I have no idea who either of these people are, But they clearly know what they're marketing, which is it's a buddy comedy with two people you've never heard of. One of them's a tough guy, one of them's a nerd.
Yeah,
it's the Odd Couple. That's what it is.
Yeah,
This is middling stuff. It comes with an ultraviolet coat on it as well, if you wanted to actually keep it. It basically about it's a tough Mexican cop and this kid who's like a hacker, this American kid, and that's it. They got to bring down an evil criminal boss and whatever. It's serviceable but marginal.
I got a New Zealand New Zealand based horror film over here on Blu-ray. It's called The Dead Room. It's one of those. This is actually meant to be scary. I saw a bit of it. I haven't seen it all, but it's one of those kind of movies where you have some sort of a contortionist, a professional contortionist in it, and they take him and they beat him all up and smear him in blood and dirt, and then they have him do one of their weird sort of contortionist sort of positions and walk backwards and upside down on their head or something like that. So sort of it looks like they've been broken to pieces by some horrible demon. It's one of those movies. I got to tell you, that was insanely effective 15 years ago when I first saw it. Now, I just wonder, what opera from, Cirque du Soleil they got that contortionist from. Yeah. Anyway, this is called The Dead Room. It's about this family that lives out in this farmhouse in New Zealand, and something horrible happens, and they run away, and they report it, and then they send out a group of young scientists to sort of figure out what happened there, and they get engaged by the spirit, and thus the contortionist and all of that. The Dead Room on Blu-ray from New Zealand.
Now You See Me Too.
Yeah, I just dropped a bunch of stuff.
That's all right. Yeah. The piles always fall over. Now You See Me Too, the sequel to Now You See Me, a movie which I thought was just profoundly overrated. Just happened to have a good cast and a little bit of stylish direction, but which made no sense whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
None at all. The idea of illusionists is sort of like superheroes, which is essentially what this is. In a way, it's a superhero team of illusionists.
Yeah, and you know what? The movie's a cheat.
It's a total cheat because all the illusions are computer generated.
It's just, it's a total and complete cheat. Yeah. And the first movie had this one particular conceit in it that I thought was interesting, right? The first movie claimed, anyway, that all of the illusions were in fact illusions executed by, illusionists doing their illusions. And everything you saw when you were sitting in the audience watching the movie was a magic trick that played out the exact same way for everyone who was watching it on the day of the shoot. And then at the end of the movie, they completely and totally abandoned that. And I thought that really just ruined the entire concept that was there. How they got a second movie out of it, I'll never know.
No one, even after seeing it, it still doesn't make any sense. The only thing that's any good here is the casting. I mean, and they realize very smartly that over the years, Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman will do anything for a paycheck.
Yeah.
So they figure, why not get them both?
Yeah.
So, Morgan Freeman is the more prominent figure here, and he's completely wasted. But he's wonderful. He just does great work, even when it's a nothing part. It's like he can make a silk purse out of a sow's ear or a lump of mud. It's amazing.
Walks in, he sounds like God. He says whatever silly crap.
Kind of amazing.
They make him say, and then he goes home.
What's weird to me is that when you have Woody Harrelson, Mark Ruffalo, Jesse Eisenberg, Daniel Radcliffe, really an amazing bunch of actors, Oscar nominations in there, and superheroes and the whole thing, and of course the wonderful Lizzie Kaplan, who, for my money, is the only reason you see this movie, is because Lizzie Kaplan is just to die for. But who gets the front position in the artwork? It's Dave freaking Franco.
Yeah, James Franco's little brother for people who don't know. And
who has only been in a handful of movies, by the way.
He's funny in one of those Neighbors
like
movies or something like that.
And the Neighbors movies he was in 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, but mostly he's James Franco's little brother.
But basically, you look at him and you go,
Where's James? That's what I do. That's what happens whenever I see it.
That's what I was gonna say.
Which is mean, and I'm sorry.
You look at him and you go, oh, Couldn't afford James, huh?
I
mean, that's sort of. I hate to be mean
it's
because
like he's like Frank Stallone.
Exactly. He is talented. I'm
Yes.
not going to take anything away.
Funny
He is funny, and he's got timing, and he's got acting chops. But he is so much a clone of his brother.
He should have become like Tom Hanks's brother. Just be a marine biologist or something.
Or like Joe Estevez.
Yeah, there you go. There
right?
you go. Yeah,
Joe Estevez is like, I'm never going to be Martin Sheen. I look like Martin Sheen. I sound like Martin Sheen. So I'm just going to forge a career making low-budget B-grade action movies where they'd love to have Martin Sheen, but they can't afford him.
They can't afford him. Yeah.
So I'll be your low-budget Martin Sheen. I'm Joe Estevez.
Dude, this is crazy to me. Like Hard Target 2, right?
Right.
Target 2. First of all, that means that they think Hard Target, 1993, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Woo. John Woo.
John Woo.
First one, right?
Yep.
First American.
That was his
first English language or whatever.
Correct. That's
whatever,
first Hollywood film.
Which was sort of a big deal at the time. Okay, movie.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward more than 20 years, and you decide that Scott Adkins and Rana Mitra and Robert Knepper and a few of these other guys are worthy of a movie called Hard Target 2. Because what? Because me and you are sitting around for 25 years thinking to ourselves, when do you think you're going to put out Hard Target 2? It's just insane. Anyway, that's what this is. Blu-ray, DVD, and HD Hard Target 2.
I don't know who the
and yes, it is directly related to the feature commentary track and a few other things. Whatever.
So Jane Austen was there was that Jane Austen moment that we had about 10, 15 years ago where there were just everything that she was writing was winding up as a movie. Or
every young starlet actress had their shot.
Emma and Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice. It was Emma Thompson won an Oscar for writing the script for Sense and Sensibility, which Ang Lee directed. It was a big deal. And then the Jane Austen moment passed. It's kind of back. At least for this one movie, on Blu-ray, Love and Friendship, which is delightful. And I'm kind of amazed that this didn't get made at the time. And on top of everything else... Whit Stillman. Who doesn't do period films? But yet... Whit Stillman, that whole affected metropolitan Last Days of Disco.
A certain sort of language which is being spoken and sharpness.
It's a perfect marriage.
It's a perfect marriage. And in this particular Love and Friendship, which is adapted from a series of letters, actually.
Yes.
That Jane Austen wrote when she was very, very, very young. I think she was still a teenager when she was writing these sort of epistological letters back and forth. And it's really, really funny because if you go look those letters up and read them, they're full of all kinds of spelling errors. And it's like a little girl writing. But it's so sharp and so inside. And
the talent is there.
She already understands the world around her and the way it works. And it shows up here. Kate Beckinsale can spit that language out
so
as good as anybody.
Yeah, it's just really, it's a comedy of manners, and it's very much of the era, and it's got all that stuff that you expect. The twists with the relationships and some wonderful, wonderful performances here. It's a great cast. It's a fun film, and bravo to Whit Stillman. Really, Chloe Sevigny also really, really good in this.
Yeah, very sharp as her
very
friend.
Sharp, and just delightful.
I got Money Monster over here. Jodie Foster directed this film, her first directorial effort in quite a while.
I was going to go see this, and then I elected not to after the reviews came out. So you tell me.
I did. I saw it at the time. This movie doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
That's so sad.
And the thing for it opens really, really strongly, and George Clooney is just outstanding in this movie. He's basically playing one of those money guys, who gives all this sort of advice, outrageous and funny. She's the producer off in the control room. A guy played by Jack O'Connell comes in and takes over the show. Sort of Al Pacino,
right? Dog Day Afternoon-ish.
Dog Day Afternoon-ish kind of situation. There are all kinds of moments in this film that are interesting and intriguing moments, and then it breaks down. And by the time we wind our way toward the end of this film, when it goes really, really dark, and then ends on a most profoundly dark note, this film isn't working at all. And I'm extremely sort of disappointed in it. In any case, this Blu-ray and digital has deleted scenes and some interviews with the cast and other special features on it. But yeah, a really, really sort of disappointing undertaking. And I think it didn't understand. Look, this is what happens. Jodie Foster, liberal. George Clooney, liberal. Yeah. I love my liberals. Don't make your liberal movies with all your liberal crap in it.
Yeah.
And shove your liberal crap into your liberal movies and then shove them in my... You can't do it. They have not figured out how to how to do it in a way that is no different than what we were talking about with those
the faith-based
faith-based films. Right? It works. It does not work for the exact same reason.
You know, and I when I've taught class, and you've probably done this as well. The one thing I always try to emphasize to people about drama is, and I made this point the other day, that drama has to have uncertainty. Lectures and sermons have certainty.
Yeah.
And we even said this on the radio. And Charles Solomon, when we were he and I were on the radio,
yeah.
Charles made he kind of completed my thought on the radio in a really good way, where he said, you know, one reason faith-based movies don't really work is because drama is all about asking questions, and faith is all about giving you answers.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the same problems when people start to overly politicize their movies, is they're giving you the answers, and you should be asking the audience to ask questions.
Yeah.
I made this point just the other day, you know, talking about Woody Allen, right? And the whole Woody Allen molestation accusation, it all kind of comes up again now that everybody's talking about Nate Parker.
And
everybody's like, well, you know, Polanski becomes part of the conversation. And I said, look, you can't analogize all these things. Roman Polanski, these are all different. Roman Polanski was charged, fled the country, never faced justice.
Pled guilty to the charges.
Yes.
He did, in fact, plead. So we know.
Fled the country.
And then he fled the country, all kinds of little details in there. But he, in fact, pled guilty to the charges made against him.
Nate Parker faced justice, was acquitted.
Went through the system.
Done. Woody Allen, never.
No charges.
No charges, no nothing.
Accusations.
And yet people...
Investigation.
Sure.
By the authorities who decided not to charge, by the way, which is a very specific thing.
Now, the thing with Woody Allen, and this is where I'm coming back around to this, is that Woody Allen, a lot of people really still dump on him because of the Soon Yi thing. So in their minds, they think, oh, ew, creepy guy, did the Soon Yi thing, therefore, and they transfer it to the other, he must be guilty of the other thing.
Yeah.
Screenwriters use that as a device to throw you off. Think about Home Alone. Robert's Blossom is the creepy guy roaming around. He must have done something. By the end of the movie, filmmaker says, no, he didn't. He's a sweet man. He is Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Naughty. Shame on you for thinking otherwise. And because we have that inclination, we're judgmental of people who feel creepy, who just look creepy. Whereas someone who's beautiful, if George Clooney is accused of something, we don't care. We don't care if it's a mountain of evidence. We love George Clooney. He's beautiful, and we will not believe it until you shove it down my throat.
And certainly we're not capable of putting these things in silos. We allow them to bleed one thing over into the other thing. People to this day, and I literally had this conversation not more than a week ago, think that Woody Allen had an affair with his daughter. They think that Soon Yi was his daughter. They do not. I'm like, look up her name. And they look up her name and it says Soon Yi Previn.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's
not
Previn?
even his stepdaughter.
Not even his stepdaughter. Not related to her in any way, shape, or form. Never was.
Which doesn't make it not.
Which doesn't make anything. but it's a set of specifics here that people don't want. They decided the thing that they want to believe. I don't know anything about Woody Allen or what he did to anybody, but I know that nothing has been settled.
So here's my point then, bringing this back to Money Monster.
Money Monster.
These real life scenarios reveal how people react to things where uncertainty is part of the equation, where there's not an easy answer. We get volatile with each other. We argue with each other because there is uncertainty, there's unpredictability, because we have, perception colliding with desire and all of these
in a few facts,
and that makes for drama, either in real life or on the screen. But when you are certain about everything, and when you deliver everything on a cookie to the audience, whether it is political or spiritual or whatever it is, it just lacks drama.
Yeah.
It just lacks drama. So there's Ways and Tim's lecture for the week. The ones below.
We get paid for that, folks.
Yeah,
yeah.
The ones below is from the Magnet line of Magnolia. Is a pretty decent little thriller that kind of goes into the Rosemary's Baby mold a bit. Young couple expecting a child. and another couple that moves into the same complex, and all kinds of madness and horror transpires. As a result, you can fill in the blanks. This is kind of a genre unto itself, and it does a decent job of it. It's called The Ones Below, meaning the couple that lives below. But there's a metaphor there at work as well.
I've got The Darkness here. This is a Kevin Bacon movie, horror movie, with Radha Mitchell. Came out not too terribly long ago, actually. This particular Blu-ray DVD, has what it calls a shocking alternate ending. I have not seen the shocking alternate ending. I saw the film when it came out the first time. I had issues with the film because it does this one particular thing that I don't care for. They did it in the Poltergeist films way back in the day. So this film is shaped around this family. They go out into the desert. They have this son. The son is autistic, sort of locked in his own little world. The son is played by the kid who plays Batman in the series Gotham on television, right? And I can tell that the movie had been in the can for a while because you look at that kid and he's like a little kid, like a little boy. And boys have growth spurts, but you can tell that he's significantly younger than he is in the Gotham series for Batman. So this movie had been in the can for a little while, right? So he's autistic. They go out there. He falls into a cave. He diddles around with these sort of Native American icons and whatnot. And the next thing you know, there's a spirit that follows him back to the house. And it's a whole damn mess. This is the thing that this film does that drives me crazy, though, right? It makes the Native American spirits out to be the bad guys. Right? These evil Native American spirits haunting our family. And I'm like, no, they're not. That kid took their rock. They were fine in the cave doing what the hell they were doing. They had trapped the spirit in the rocks or whatever. The kid came. Same thing in Poltergeist.
Yeah.
They're not evil Native. You built your house on our
graveyard.
On our graveyard, dude. Yeah. We're pissy about that. That's fair. But I don't know, whatever. Anyway, this is from the makers of the Purge and Insidious. It's actually an okay movie. And the alternate ending, I don't know. I might stick it in, fast forward, see what the hell the alternate ending is. Why the hell not? The Darkness.
All right, and then
I got Honey 3 over here. You know what's funny about Honey 3?
I didn't even know there was a Honey 2.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a Honey 2. Honey, I remember. Honey had Jessica Alba in it, and pretty much if Jessica Alba is standing around, I'm probably going to go see that. And because she's Jessica Alba, and I just can't help myself. Billy Woodruff directed this film, though. Billy gets around, has a feature commentary from him on the movie, and some deleted scenes and whatnot. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. It's a dance movie. What's going on in the movie is irrelevant. You get a whole bunch of really young, very fit, sexy people dancing.
If they were smart, they would do a joint crossover sequel called Honey, I Shrunk Honey, where you fill in the blank. And the last one this week, before we dovetail, last new film this week, before we dovetail into our interview with Kyle Rankin, the director and co-writer and producer of Night of the Living Deb. That is Deb, D-E-B. Yeah. So this is a zombie comedy, and you'll hear all about how Kyle put this thing together in the interview. But it's they kickstarted this thing, and it does not look like a Kickstarter movie. Let me just tell you, this thing looks like this is a very polished, high production value comedy. Ray Wise, very funny in it, but the star of this film is the reason to see this. Maria Thayer is incredibly funny. I will not give you any of the details. Basically, this is about a woman who she plays it like those great comedians from the 1960s, whether it was Barbara Eden, you name it, where they could be endearing, a little bit ditzy, but the comedy came from the fact that they were disconnected to the world around them. Just all this stuff is going on, and they just kind of don't quite process what's going on, which makes it so funny when here she is in Maine, in Portland, Maine, and just living her life. And then one morning, after a certain event, she wakes up, and next thing you know, everyone around her is turning into zombies. And it is really genuinely charming and funny and takes some fascinating twists. Kyle and his partner Michael Cassidy and Maria Thayer and a couple others who were involved in the production, the editor and another co-writer, they all do a really, really fun commentary. There are bloopers, there's behind-the-scenes stuff, but it's the movie itself is quite a discovery, and it's a genre that just doesn't really
go away.
It doesn't go away, but there also aren't very many good ones. Did you see Zombievers?
Zombievers. I don't think I saw that one.
That was just dreadful. It's just stupid. It's a bit like toxic waste goes into the river and zombifies some beavers, and then these kids are in a log cabin, and the beavers are attacking. It was horrible. It's just really just.
And even that'll find a place, someplace.
It will, but it was terrible.
Yeah.
This is really funny. So, without further ado, here is our interview with Kyle Rankin, the director of Night of the Living Deb.
It is my privilege to be talking to the director of the very, very funny zombie comedy Night of the Living Deb, D-E-B, Kyle Rankin, who is also a friend of mine. Our daughters are almost exactly the same age, so I feel like we're kind of going through a lot of the same tides of life. So, Kyle, thank you for talking to us, and tell us, how did Night of the Living Deb? What was the genesis of the story?
Wade, thanks for having me. And wanting to make basically a zombie romantic comedy with a female lead. I felt like I hadn't completely seen that before. And I did kind of reverse engineer it. I wanted to go back to where I'm from, Maine, and I wanted to do a very low budget movie, around $200,000, and I wanted to kickstart it. So the reverse engineering came from like, you know what, I should probably do something fairly commercial. I think I'll do a zombie film. Shaun of the Dead is a favorite of mine. I think I should, have a title that is steal the brilliance of that, in that the title lets you know what you're getting into immediately. Reverse engineered a bit, and then I wrote 17 pages of it. I handed it to my buddy Andy Seltzer, and who I think is a very funny writer, and he liked them. I had written a male lead actually, and I said, I think this should be a woman. He agreed, and then he went off and wrote a very, very funny script that I was had the privilege of directing. So.
Well, it is, there are, obviously you mentioned Shaun of the Dead. There are a number of zombie comedies out there. There have been over the last few years, and I have to say we've talked about a lot of them on the podcast, and the majority of them are just sorely lacking. They all seem to follow the same idea, which is that we try to get, they try to sort of get humor out of what the zombies are doing as opposed to what other people are doing. And one of the things that I think you did incredibly well is that you cast very, very well. And Maria Thayer, who I'm not really familiar with, but she's perfect in the part. Talk a little bit about how you cast her and what she brings to it, and particularly the character of Deb, because everything revolves around Deb, who has this sort of deadpan way of looking at what's happening around her and really never feels too rattled by it, which is where I think a lot of the comedy really comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, and I used to, once the script was done, like, wow, love this character. Wow, we better find someone damn good to carry this movie. Couldn't afford a casting director, so kind of luckily I've been doing this long enough where I have some actor friends and started to ask around, and at some point Maria's name came up. Like, I know Maria Thayer, and I had a bit of a knowledge of her, and we met for coffee, myself and Michael Cassidy, who plays the romantic lead, Ryan, also helped me produce. And the three of us just laughed, for 3 or 4 hours, and it was really fun. And she really kind of was the part. No real acting required. But she's very witty, and was trained classically, but also is really a lot of my favorite lines in the movie was things that she just came up with off the cuff. So yeah, very. She is kind of that magnetic in person. She just kind of has it dialed up to 11 in the movie.
She does a wonderful job. I mean, she really does. It's you experience it through her, and because you experience it through her, it obviously it's and another problem I think I have with zombie comedies, the other ones, is that they don't know just how much to be a horror film and how much to be a comedy. They tend to sort of err on the side of being more horror and less comedy, which winds up, I think, undercutting both of it. But here, no one's really going to be scared out of their wits watching this. It's more for laughs, which I think is the right way to play it. And if you could talk about Ray Wise as well, because Ray Wise is such an iconic figure for anybody who's into genre films, obviously going all the way back to RoboCop, but even Twin Peaks and on and on. I mean, he's really one of those fixtures of the convention mindset. How did Ray come to this project?
Yeah, Ray's a friend. He did a very kind thing for me in 1998. I was nobody. I was 26, trying to make a short, and had seen Twin Peaks. Really liked Ray. Wrote him a letter. Was bothering his manager with letters. The guy I made the movie with said I was very good at drawing characters. I'm going to draw Ray's face and include it in the letter. We were courting Ray and really trying to push for him, but we couldn't afford to pay him. It was short, but the pitch was, Ray, could you come to Maine for a weekend and be the the titular character in this short film? And luckily he said yes for some reason. He just really liked the script, and we had a local person, bumped him up to first class. That's back when, travel agents were all over the place, and it just really, it was wonderful. He did a very kind thing for me all those years ago, and I think this is maybe the 13th time I've worked with him. I now try and put him in everything that I do. So.
Well, he's one of those great presences, but part of it is obviously the smile, which everyone recognizes, but he brings that gravitas, and
yeah.
it's so fun. It's so much fun when he shows up in the film. It's so much fun to see him. Talk for a second, just a little bit about the challenges of working on a budget when you set yourself a budget that is, very constrained, and you're working with special effects and you're working with recreating zombies. It's a far cry from doing a low-budget film that's just walk and talk. I mean, you really have some logistically challenging stuff in the film, which looks like it belongs in a movie with a much higher level of budget level and production level. So how do you kind of cut the corners without cutting the quality on a film? What was the secret to doing that?
Oh, I guess every day, was kind of a battlefield. You never have enough time, and especially, like you said, when you try to do some of these action set pieces, they take forever. They just really, because you have to make all the puzzle pieces that will then in editing connect, and it's just those different setups, they call it, where you move the camera from one side of the room to the other side of the room, and then you have to relight because we were shooting very traditionally. That just takes a long time. Even if you shoot a counter shot of two people talking in a restaurant, you shoot one side, you might shoot different sizes of that side, and then you're like, okay, everybody turning around, and then the director of photography, turns to you and says, that's going to be an hour relight or a 45-minute relight, and that means everyone is working. All we had a crew of, I think, 35. Everyone's doing something, and the day is continuing, but you're not actually capturing anything on film. So you do get, the day gets eaten up very quickly. So I had shot lists. I tried to prepare as much as possible, and then I would often throw out those shot lists and be like, okay, I can't get these 15 shots. We're running out of time. I can get these 8. So you end up kind of, you try and maintain the same flavor of a set piece, but you end up doing a very simple version. Often it's rare that I wake up one morning and I'm like, this is what I'm thinking, and this is what I end up getting at the end of the day. You have to compromise along the way, but what you do is I find that if I make my plan very ambitious, I can at least come in somewhere kind of good.
Well, so. That's smart. How about the extras, the people who played the zombies? I've heard from people who've done that in films in the past and who've worked on various television zombie series that's actually the most enjoyable part of the job, because it's acting like a zombie. There's no one who's telling you. No one ever says tone it down. Everybody always says just more, bigger, crazier. How did they enjoy working on the film?
They loved it, which I really was telling my wife I don't understand, because, and maybe you agree with me, but waking up, dressing in ratty clothes and putting a bunch of sticky blood on my face, and standing around most of the day just to kind of walk oddly or grunt, like to make odd noises for a very small portion of the day. It sounds terrible to me, but we often had more zombies than we required, and they were really enjoying it. The extras really seemed to like it.
Well,
so I was always so pleased that they did, but I didn't fully understand it.
Well, that seems to be a common theme. I've heard that from just about everyone who's ever been an extra playing a zombie. So it sounds like one of the best gigs that you can get. And
yes.
and since the film, you've just finished another film, correct?
Yeah, I've got this thing called the Witch Files that I'm very close to finishing editing. Again, I went back to Maine and I shot this thing around the same budget, about 5 young women in high school that form a witch coven and kind of get in over their heads. So.
And that will be finished probably sometime end of the year, early year?
Yeah, I'm thinking I may even be finished by November, by the time the American film market happens. I'm not sure, but I'm going for it.
All right. Well, terrific.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, we wish you all the best, and we're certainly going to encourage people to check out Night of the Living Dead on Blu-ray in particular, because I think I just think it's one of the best zombie comedies we've seen. There was one that we commented on, I think it was last year, called Zombievers, which I just is unwatchable. So I will direct everyone to Night of the Living Dead from here on out. So thanks so much for talking with us.
Kyle's big breakthrough, of course, was as one of the Project Greenlight guys. He did Battle of Shaker Heights.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yep.
Kevin Pollak. On that Project Greenlight. Ben Affleck and all that. I think they canceled that series finally.
Did the second incarnation of it finally cancel?
Well, they've destroyed several careers. I think they've destroyed. They just destroyed.
Too bad. There are ways of making that work.
Well, you know the problem with Project Greenlight. Project Greenlight was never, ever, ever. I don't care. Look, I can't prove this. This is Tim's gut speaking as a person who's been watching and talking about films for 25 years, like you.
Yeah.
I watch Project Greenlight, and the one thing I know is that program is never about the movies being made by the filmmakers or artists there. That program is always about that program.
Yeah.
It's about good reality television.
Yeah.
What if Project Greenlight had sincerely been simply about filmmaking and filmmakers, and it was just sort of like a almost a verite sort of documentary series, right?
Yeah.
And no contest involved. None of that. We're simply going to watch this process. It would have been a really striking thing to see. But no, they decided to make a TV show instead.
Well, we're going to wind out on some classic films and wrap the show out this week. First one is a great Criterion release. The long-awaited Night Train to Munich on Blu-ray. It's been out on DVD before, but Night Train to Munich, a classic from 1940 by Carol Reed.
Yeah.
Very much in the same vein as The Third Man, which is the Carol Reed noir that everybody always focuses on. But Night Train to Munich is very much in the same vein. Features an amazing performance by Rex Harrison and Margaret Lockwood, also really, really good.
Paul Henreid in that movie.
It's just so good. It has a certain like an early Hitchcock vibe to it. The thriller stuff, the spy stuff. Very, very, very slick, beautifully photographed, really, really cool. And it's one of the. I mean, it just moves like gangbusters. This thing does. Really, really interesting screenplay in particular, which you learn a lot about in the one of the extras, which is a 2010 conversation between a pair of film scholars talking about Carol Reed as well as the screenwriters of the film, Frank Launder and Sidney Gilliat. And that stuff is really, really very interesting. So this is easily one of the best films of this week, or possibly even the year. And then we have a bunch of stuff from Twilight Time. This month's Twilight Time releases are pretty great. They're always great, but you go to TwilightTimeMovies.com and grab these suckers because they're just really, really good. All of them licensed, of course, from Studio Vaults, and deservedly so. Frank Sinatra, Tony Rome, and Lady in Cement is a double feature that is just amazing. Isolated score tracks on here, audio commentary on Tony Rome, with a whole bunch of film historians that'll just give you amazing perspective. Beautiful cinematography in both of these. Both of these are directed by Gordon Douglas, and they're based on the Marvin Albert Tony Rome novels. And the movies came out in the late 1960s, and it's basically about a cop who becomes a private investigator, and they've got that really cool late 60s kind of semi-noir, hard-boiled quality to them.
Semi-noir, not quite noir.
Not quite noir. It's like semi-noir. Really, really good stuff. And aging Sinatra, just really being hard-boiled. Terrific stuff. Theater of Blood with Vincent Price is an awful lot of fun. This is exactly as Vincent Pricey as you would expect it to be. And this is from 1973, kind of on the not right after he had done a lot of the Corman stuff, but it's still an awful lot of fun, and it's just, it's Vincent Price being crazy and weird and macabre. The Glory Guys is a Western that it kind of has fallen between the cracks a little bit, but a really terrific cast here. It's sort of a run-of-the-mill cavalry film. That's really a genre unto itself, but it has great cinematography by James Wong Howe.
Really?
Yeah, fabulous. And screenplay by Sam Peckinpah.
Yeah.
So really pretty interesting film, kind of that's fallen a little bit between the cracks.
Yeah, I don't know that film.
Yeah, it's directed by Arnold Levin, not really a significant director, but the Peckinpah screenplay very much shows through. This also has an audio commentary with with Nick Redman, who's one of the principals at Twilight Time, and a couple other film scholars, and a great cast that includes James Caan, Andrew Duggan, Slim Pickens, and Peter Breck. Peter Breck from The Big Valley, who, of course, was a kind of a Western fixture. Some of the other films here, then, we have Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia,
I love that
which has a really great cult following. Warren Oates, just so amazing in this. This is a straight-up Sam Peckinpah movie that he did direct, and it's great. Just one of those... It's a Peckinpah film. I don't know what else to tell you.
Warren Oates is one of those wonderful character actor face, who had leading man chops.
Yes.
That we've sort of lost to history a little bit. He lives in that world with Lee Marvin and a few of those guys. Really fantastic.
And then the last two here from Twilight Time, Damiano Damiani's The Most Beautiful Wife, otherwise known as La Moglie più bella from 1970, which stars a 14-year-old Ornella Muti, who would, of course, later show up in the Flash Gordon movie as Princess Ardala.
Yeah.
Ornella Muti, one of the great Italian beauties of the day. Anyway, this is basically about a young woman who goes toe-to-toe with the mafia in Sicily. Also an amazing isolated Ennio Morricone score. Really good stuff. And then the last Twilight Time title this week is a classic from 1979, right in that sweet spot when Paul Schrader was making really gritty stuff, writing and directing, from Scorsese's Taxi Driver, everything else. It's hardcore. George C. Scott looking for his daughter, played by Susan Hubley, who has vanished from the sweet paradise of the Midwest to the inferno of the West Coast porn scene. It's just a gritty film.
Scenes in that film that you could not make today.
Could not make
today.
Could
not do today.
Beautifully shot by Michael Chapman, who, of course, would go on to win an Oscar for Raging Bull, and music by Jack Nietzsche, who, of course, would go on to do a great, memorable score for many, many movies, including Officer and a Gentleman. Really just a terrific film. They got Paul Schrader for an audio commentary. They also have a bunch of film historians doing an audio commentary and the isolated score for Jack Nietzsche. Really just a terrific movie. Really hard to watch, though.
I was completely in love with Susan Hubley for like a decade, from 1970
Yep.
on. I got a couple here we're going to finish up with, including Iron Giant, Brad Bird's film.
Which, by the way, has a special Ultimate Collector's Edition that they have not yet sent us, which has different versions of the film on it. And a lot of other fun stuff, but this is certainly worth a quick mention. This is the signature edition, which has the Giant's Dream on it. Finally, this thing's on Blu-ray.
Look, Brad Bird, his best film, if you ask me, his live action work notwithstanding. What people forget, people always remember Ving Rhames, the voice of the Giant. People forget Jennifer Aniston, Harry Connick Jr., and a number of other noted actors. Vin Diesel's in the film.
Cloris Leachman.
Cloris Leachman doing a voice in this film. So this is kind of like a star-studded cast of voices, of which Vin Diesel was not. I think maybe Saving Private Ryan had been his big thing up to that point. That's
Boiler Room.
That's right. Boiler Room. He had done Boiler Room after that, too. But yeah, Iron Giant, so fantastic.
And The Giant's Dream is the documentary on here that is just absolutely wonderful, which tells the sort of the phoenix from the ashes story of how this movie became a cult classic even after not really finding an audience at the box office.
It failed the first time out.
Just absolutely terrific. So really, really great stuff.
And then the last one that I have over here anyway is the collector's edition of Patrick Swayze's Roadhouse, 1989.
It's so great. This is now a classic.
I got to tell you, I love this movie. It was one of the first films that I worked on when we came to L.A., this movie, right? The thing that I really love about this movie, though, Patrick Swayze plays a bouncer in a roadhouse bar who knows kung fu and karate and all kinds of stuff. But he's a philosophy major. He has a degree in philosophy. And he really believes in being a nice guy. And it's a sexy movie, and it has all the kind of stuff. But this is the last movie I can think of that had a hero, a central sort of hero figure who was willing to kick a little ass when he had to kick ass, but He was actually a hero, not an anti-hero. Patrick Swayze doesn't have a mean bone in his body in this movie.
Yeah.
But if you make him, he'll break all yours. But that's your fault. You did that. He didn't want to do it. Anyway, this is full of all kinds of stuff. 2-disc set, interviews with several people, including his wife, the late Patrick Swayze. Of course, we lost Patrick a few years ago. Audio commentary with the director Rowdy Harrington and Kevin Smith, and a few other sort of sycophants of this kind of stuff, which could have included me. This is from Shout Select. Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze.
Well, that's it, Tim. I think we're probably gonna have you next week as well, and then see if Mark has his health back after that. So with that, thank you everybody for being with us. We'll see you next time.